Welcome back to the channel. I thought today would be a fun day to come back to the Desert Eagle about a year and a half later and talk about my experiences with it so far. I've never once used this thing as a sidearm. I've only ever used it as a primary, if you will. So as a sidearm, I can't speak too much for it, although back in the day I have rocked a Tokyo Marui Desert Eagle as a sidearm and it was wonderful. It's just really big and it does kind of put a lot of weight on your hip, so do be aware of that. You want to get a high quality holster for something like this so that way it doesn't fall out or break the holster that it's in, like if you get a cheap cloth one or something like that. But as you can see, it no longer has the 10-inch Raccoon City hand cannon kit on it. I put the normal barrel back on. However, as you can see inside of there is an aftermarket inner barrel. It is a Maple Leaf Crazy Jet 150mm by 6.01 tight bore barrel. And then inside of the gun, I don't know, oh yeah, you can see that, the blue part right there, that is a Maple Leaf 70-degree Decepticon bucking. And then the rest of the gun is stock minus. I did keep the fake wood grip from the hand cannon kit on here because I think it actually looks pretty badass. But the gun is still going strong, guys. And ever since I fixed the issue I was having with my drum mag by replacing the actual drum body with a Tokyo Marui VZ61 Scorpion drum mag instead of the Well brand one, it is fed better and I have not had any issues where the loading arm on my gas blowback nozzle inside of the gun has broken, so it's working really good. So far my experiences using it, I ran it with 0.30 gram BBs at 120 psi. We'll give this thing a chronograph reading in just a second here with the drum magazine and the 0.30 gram BBs inside of here. As you can see, it's pretty solid. Essentially what I did to build this, just to kind of go over that, so I took a Tokyo Marui Scorpion VZ61 drum magazine and I bolted it to the bottom of the steel base plate on the Desert Eagle magazine. I also used some super glue to help fasten it a little better. I then, of course, ran an HPA tap, up to the Desert Eagle magazine, so that way I have HPA. And then I also used some O-rings and something else in there. I think I got like a washer in there to act as a spacer, so that way this thing does not wiggle back and forth. Again, some super glue helped that. And then I also drilled a hole out in the base plate that lines up with the feed chute where the BBs ordinarily, well, they still go there, but where you would load them into the magazine. I took out the spring and the follower. Then I also glued in an unjamming rod to act as a spacer, so that way a single file line of BBs goes up to the top instead of it being staggered. So then that way the drum magazine doesn't have to push as much weight, so it can feed better. So I did that and bolted it to the bottom, drilled out a hole in the base plate to line up perfectly with the drum magazine. So now, as you are about to see, let me make sure I'm going to spin it the right way. Yep, okay. And here they are. There's the BBs. And you just keep winding it and it will feed flawlessly. So now I have an HPA drum for my WE Desert Eagle that's fully functional. Before, again, I had a Well drum magazine on here and that didn't work all that well, so it ended up causing some failures. But, as I said, it should work really good now. Let's give it some tests. Alright guys, we are at the chrono. I have it set up to read with 0.30 gram BBs. So that way you can see the joules that it will be getting, and then I'm just going to shoot it about 10 to 15 times or something like that. Got the Desert Eagle with HPA and the drum magazine. I'm running about 120 psi. This thing's kind of spicy, so here we go. Oops, I think I hit the side of the chrono on that last one. Alright, as you can see, it's pretty consistent. I think the highest it was around 336, and then the lowest was around, what, 330 or 331? We seem to be floating around 332 to 333, which, as you can see, at 332 with a 0.3, that is 1.53 joules, which is roughly around 405 to 410 with a 0.20 in terms of like what the equivalence would be of that. So it's pretty spicy. This thing's definitely putting out some heat. So it's not weak. It's definitely ready to be used outdoors. Not an indoor gun at all, or if you have a low joule limit in your nation or at your field, or low velocity limit depending on how it's measured. be careful, I guess. I think they do make some low FPS versions of this, so you might want to acquire that. Either that or just don't run it at as high of a PSI as I'm doing. So we'll set that aside. This thing cannot go full auto. As you can see, it's got some kick. See if I can get a view like that. Yeah. It's got some oomph to it. So with that, let's go outside and let's shoot at my target. All right, so that right there is a 9-inch target, and then again, it's about 70 to 72 feet away, roughly what, like 20 to 21 meters or something like that away. So we're gonna take some shots at it. Again, 0.30 gram BB. Sorry, but my furnace is on. Well, because my AC's on. So yeah, but we're gonna take some shots at it. Here we go. A little bit of a feeding issue with my drum. I haven't used this in a while, so it's like kind of needs a little breaking in again. I apologize for that. Alright, let's keep trying again. I think it doesn't help that I'm almost running out of ammo in this too. Getting kind of low. Take a few more shots with it. Let's see. Alright, I think that'll just about do it. Let's head back in and wrap this up. Alright, folks, so as you saw, this thing's not too shabby, but it's not the greatest. I feel like if I was to use 0.32 or even, I think it could push it out, 0.36 gram BBs, this thing would be a monster. But with 0.30s, it's sufficient. But I'm not gonna lie, using it as a pseudo primary is kind of difficult. It does leave a little bit more to be desired. I think some of that is due to the fact that I guess my drum mag isn't as great as I made it out to be. But also, I think it just has a lot of recoil for a gas pistol that's airsoft, right? I mean, you have this big mass just cha-cha-cha-cha-cha, like moving back and forth with each shot. So it leaves a lot of room for inconsistencies and errors to be had. Luckily, the FPS output is consistent, but I almost think it would be better off maybe with the longer inner barrel. But the problem I had with that is it made it shoot like 2.2 joules, which is like the equivalent of like 485 with a 2.0. So yeah, I couldn't use it like that. And trying to modify it to have less FPS made it a little bit inconsistent, unfortunately. Which is why I was having issues getting kills with it in the Cursed Desert Eagle video, which I recommend you check out. It's a lot of fun to watch. It's really goofy, but overall, I think the Wii Desert Eagle is a pretty damn good pistol. It hasn't had any big major failures. Everything is working really well on it. Obviously, you know, slide catch, slide release. You also have the safety. That still works. Nothing is falling off, nothing is broken. It's honestly been pretty great. I think for Desert Eagle fanatics, it is a wonderful pistol. In terms of how I feel about it as like an overall performance pistol, it's mediocre. I mean, even with some upgrades, it leaves more room to be desired. I think its strongest suit is its FPS and its range, but its weaker points is accuracy and then also just, you know, recoil management, right? I mean, when I run this like a primary, I actually put a foregrip on the rails so that way I can stabilize my shots a little better like this and just at people. But it does work. It's a lot of fun and it definitely shoots pretty far. So yeah, that 70-foot demonstration definitely does not showcase how great the range is. But I guess if you had to ask me would I recommend it, I would say if you're a Desert Eagle fan, yes. If you're just looking for a decent sidearm, then nah. I mean, it's not really all that practical. But again, if you're a collector, a Desert Eagle fanboy, totally. It's a lot of fun. It's been a blast to use, and I look forward to making more memories with it. But for now, I'm just going to leave it as is. I'm going to try running some heavier BBs with it. I'm going to make sure that the drum mag is running smoothly. You know, maybe try to tweak it a little bit. But I guess that's it. This is the Wii Desert Eagle 1.5 years later, approximately. And as always, happy airsofting.